Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to go over the summary for the land sale for Cornucopias, as well as a couple other details like the trade volume and so on Opencnft. We're going to go over the current floor prices on jpg.store, and we're also going to go over a couple other things like the cost per square meter currently for these land plots for the commons, and also lastly the utility that's coming up for these land plots. Alright, stay tuned. I'm going to go through all that right now. We are currently on Opencnft. We're just going to go over some stats real quick. So we know in total 23k assets were sold. That was during the initial 5-day mint. 7.7 million in ADA traded volume. That's huge. Rough floor price right now 205 ADA, give or take. 53k was the highest all-time sale. So someone bought a land plot. I imagine it was a pretty rare and a pretty big one for 53k in ADA. 10k in unique assets sold, so that'll just keep jumping up as more assets keep getting sold on secondary markets. 11k total transactions on the secondary market right now. And as we go down, we can see some of the averaging floor prices on the charts here. One thing that I'd like to note down the bottom here is the top whales for these assets. So there is one particular individual that has 206 of these land plot assets in his wallet. So this guy is huge, absolute whale. Probably got hundreds of thousands in ADA right now. Yeah, and then the last thing is you can see the recent transaction history of these land plots. And we've got a epic land plot, legendary rarity, sold for 4,400 ADA an hour ago. Yeah, that's pretty decent stats. Alright, so move on now. So I thought instead of jumping back and forth between web browsers on looking at the floor prices on jpg.store, I thought I'd just summarize it on an Excel spreadsheet to just help us navigate through these numbers a bit better, so we're not, guessing and umming and ahhing throughout this video. So here on an Excel spreadsheet, I've got a few details that I've noted down. Firstly, I just want to start with a summary of the sellout times for these assets over the 5 days, as well as the initial revenue generated for the Copias team. So we have down here in this table, just here, we've got the sellout times. So I'm going to start with the small and then work my way up to the Copias. So the small sold out in 37 minutes, as well as the mediums. The reason being is that the smalls didn't sell out during their tier 1, so it rolled over the tier 2. So that was a 30-minute timer. As for the mediums, they didn't sell out really quick during the tier 4, so it took a bit of time, but they coincidentally both averaged out around that 37 minutes. Then your large sold out in 59 seconds. Your epic sold out in 39 seconds, and your copious sold out in 19 seconds. So that's quite phenomenal. So those times are aggregates between the tiers that they were scheduled in. Your mint prices, so as we know from memory, the mint prices in ADA were smalls at 174, then you had your copious at your 1,709 ADA. Total mints, so for our smalls they were 10,000, mediums 6,400, large is at 4,240, epics 1,840, and your copious at 240. And then over here I just took the liberty of plotting down how many actual assets they have. So they didn't sell all of their small plots. They've kept 800 aside. So originally they've got a total of 10,800 plots, and I believe they're just using this for marketing and promotion purposes down the track. Because remember, these guys aren't going to do another land sale until 2023, except for the custom domes, but they're different in utility and their purpose. So yeah. Revenue generated, so for example, we know that they minted, we had to mint a small plot for 174 ADA, and we know that they minted a total of 10,000 plots, so that's 1.74 million in ADA generated, and at the time that would have been around each ADA would have been around 60 USD cents. So total revenue generated over the 5 days 8.739 million ADA. Now, that's just the revenue from their initial mints. You gotta remember, these guys are getting a 5% commission on trades on secondary markets. So when we discussed about that 4,400 land plot that was sold in recent history, 5% of that goes back to the Copias team. So that's when last video we spoke about the sustainability of the project, how they can try and last long term by generating these cash flow revenues. This is it. So I think that's absolutely genius. They will have their custom dome sale soon for some of the Discord role members. So if you own X, Y, and Z, you'll qualify for that mint. And that'll be it for a while. I believe they'll be cooling off and they'll be just focusing on their, getting the game launched so that we can start doing what we want to do on there. So next, I want to go over the floor prices, the current floor prices. And here we have them. So I won't read out all of these as you can review the video and have a look for yourself. Or if you like, let me know. I can make this a shareable document so that people can view it if they need to. Just remember, your floor prices are changing all the time. So right now we have our commons for small, 210, medium, 335, large, nearly 600, epics at 1,535, and your copious nearly at 6,000. And then, it just gets more and more expensive as we go up to our uncommons, rares, legendaries, and mythicals. And then I've just put a little line chart in there so that you can get an idea of what that looks like visually. And then over here, we have this, I made this little chart here to show you what the percentage increase is compared to the small. So all of these here, this is a small, and then as we go up, I've compared the small to the medium, I've compared the small to the large, the small to the epic, and the small to the copious, so that you can see the percentage increase for the commons. And just remember, guys, these prices are as at the 12th of June 2022. So again, subject to change. The next thing I want to go over is the price per square meter in ADA. Now, we know what the floor prices are for the commons for the different sized land plots. What I want to do is now divide that by the square meter per each size of the land plot, and that gives me this round figure just over here on this little list here. So the small plots are at 0.54 ADA as at the time of this video. The medium plot at 0.38, so are the larges at 0.38. The epics at 0.44 ADA per square meter, and then your copious at 0.97 ADA per square meter. So nearly 1 ADA per square meter for your copious. What I'd like to point out in terms of value for money, when it comes to these square meter per ADA land plots, your medium and larges at the time of this video seem to be the cheapest. So if that's something that you want to do, if you want to grab these land plots, by looking at the numbers here, you can tell that those are clearly the cheapest at the time of this video. The other thing I'd like to point out, just so that you guys are aware, so it's one thing when you look at that land deck, and I think I've got it right here in front of me. You see a visual of what these land decks look like, but you're not really seeing the current numbers and so on to get value for money. But if you go back to this spreadsheet, let me know, guys, if you want a copy of this spreadsheet or a screenshot or something. I'm thinking I'll post it in the Cornucopias Discord so people get an idea and they can make an informed decision. But the one thing I'd like to take note of as well in the land sizes per square meter is you want to look at these in terms of are they doubling in value and so on in terms of square meter. So what I mean by that is you look at your large plot, let's say it's 1,500 square meters. But when you look at your epics, it's 3,400 or 3,500 square meters. So by doubling up on your large plot, you still wouldn't equate to an epic plot. But that's not the same when you're comparing the epic to the copious. So if I was to double my epic at say 3,500, right, I would get 7,000 square meters. But a copious plot is totaled to 6,144. So in time, when these numbers start to calm down, or if they escalate, they're going to change, especially on market conditions, and supply and demand side of things, and news from copious teams. So you want to keep an eye out for this and make sure that you're getting the best value for buck if you're trying to accumulate these land plots. Hey guys, before we discuss the land utility, have you ever had an issue with your crypto seed phrases on pieces of paper and you find that they're not going to last forever? Well, there's a solution. Check out Apocrypto.tech and have a look at some of their products. So what these guys sell are these metal plates in which you can write down your seed phrase, which last a lot longer than paper, or even laminated paper for that matter. They've got this cool little package design with a cork finish. They run you through step by step on how to write down your seed phrase, and it's quite cool because it's quite customizable. They've recently made one for Cardano and the Copious logo, so if you guys are interested in that or want to give it as a gift to a friend, at checkout you can also write down the code ADABalance10 for 10% off. Again, I don't have any promotional offer with these guys in terms of benefiting me. It's just that I thought I'd put these guys on the map because I think what they're doing is pretty cool. The last little bit to note here on these guys is that they accept crypto. So there's a little process that you follow on their buy with crypto page, and they run you through those instructions there. So go ahead and give them a check out. If it's something that you think is cool, definitely worth just buying something like that. Okay guys, up next we're going to talk about the utility for the land. Now, when utility? We don't know when exactly, but we have a rough idea it could be in Q3 of 2022. So just looking here at the roadmap, we have a comment here saying stake to earn NFT launch of the sprinters and the javelins. So those two red dots there mean that it may not come out at that time, but if they can get the mechanics for the sprinters and the javelins to stake to earn, then I don't see why they shouldn't be able to do that for the land as well. I imagine that they'll just have to hard code in those percentages of staking rewards and so on. Latest, I reckon it could be Q4 of 2022, but don't hold your breath. Could come sooner, could come later. In terms of what we could see with these rewards and their utility, we can refer back to the land deck documentation that can be found in their Discord or on their website. As a Cornucopias landowner, you will have access to premium utilities such as staking and airdrops. Staking and airdrops can include, but are not limited to, building materials, harvesting tools, crafting tools, pets, mounts, and outfits. These are more associated to the airdrops themselves, but in terms of staking, I imagine you'll be staking for their COPI token. NFT land farms enable players to grow and harvest crops. Part of playing the game is working your land and working deals with others to allow them to work your land. The whole rental process. You got a business, and that business is doesn't own the land, it's renting space within that land to operate. So for them it's overhead. So this is an active role that has in-game rewards. So farming or allowing others to farm, rental or property equipment, income from workshops, marketplace, staking land, district competitions. The other thing I wanted to touch on real quick is that land plots cannot be divided up or combined. Same thing really happens in real life anyway with real estate, unless you have huge investments in planning and project management behind it. But that still wouldn't be able to stop you from combining two large plots next to each other, but they just act independently. So they're both treated as two separate contracts in terms of the relationships that they have with other people or things within their environment. So just keep that in mind, guys. It's quite clear that there's going to be anticipation for this land once the utility starts to build out on this project. With that being said, just keep an eye out on the market conditions for Cardano, and if it looks like it's ideal to buy a piece of land, who's stopping you? Thanks for watching this video, guys, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.